Hi, I'm Jevin Savage.
I'm Capri Oren.
I'm McCall Tubbs.
And I'm Brittany Henry.
We decided to do our research project on the different types of listening. We decided to do this because we feel like it's important to know these different types of listening throughout our lives.
We also will include videos of the 7 different types of listening and the feedback that they brought.
Do a backflip. Yeah, do a backflip, Brittany. Don't hit me. Do a backflip. Go, Brittany.
Oh, that was good.
That was awesome.
Hey guys, dinner's ready. Are you guys even listening?
Speaking of listening, there are 7 different types of listeners.
They are static listener, monotonous feedback giver,
Overly expressive, reader-writer,
Eye avoiders, waiting listeners, and thought completers.
The first type of listener is a static listener. These listeners don't give any feedback. They're motionless when you're talking to them, and they don't really give any expression at all.
The next type of listener is a monotonous feedback giver. They are the ones that are like, yeah, okay, cool. They're not very interested, and you can tell.
The next one that we did was overly expressive. This type of person is really excited about everything that you say, and they also almost say too much.
The next one is the reader and writer, and they are multitaskers who continue while the conversation is going.
The next one in line is the eye avoider. This one's pretty self-explanatory. It's just someone who doesn't make eye contact with you when you're talking.
The next listener is the waiting listener. This person just waits for a pause to take over. They ask the question, but then they really want to put in their own input.
And the last one that we did was thought completing. This type of person just jumps into your thoughts before you can finish.
Where are you going to school?
SU,
What are you majoring in?
construction management.
What's that?
I want to be an inspector or a project manager.
Oh, that sounds fun.
Are you even listening to me?
I did static listener. It was really hard for me because I interviewed my brother and we're super close, and so I had to act like I wasn't really interested, and I could tell that it was making him kind of irritated, but it was kind of funny too to see his reaction. He ended up asking me if I was even listening, which I really wasn't listening because I was demonstrating static listener.
Right, so what do you do for a living, and why do you like it, or why don't you like it?
I have a tire store, and I've been doing it for 20 years.
Okay.
And I just recently built a new shop.
Okay.
And you probably saw the new shop where in the old shop I used to be.
Good.
Seems
Okay.
how we've been neighbors.
Uh-huh.
And most days I really, really like it, and some days it's hard to go to work. Do you, what else would you like me to tell you about it?
What's your favorite part about it?
My favorite part is dealing with people
Okay.
and communicating like you and I are doing right now.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
I did the monotonous feedback giver, and for this one I just kind of had to like say the same response over and over again, and it was kind of hard because I kept on wanting to like ask more and like be more interested in the conversation, but I just had to say yeah, okay, and just kind of act like I wasn't all that interested in what he was saying.
Kai, you want to go jump on the trampoline?
Yes.
What kind of tricks can you do?
I can do a backflip. Want to see?
Yeah, I want to see. Can you do anything else?
Here we go.
Only a backflip? Can you do anything else? Hey, Kyan! Kyan, can you do anything else?
Yeah.
Do some,
What
do
do you
an
want me to
aerial.
do?
Do
An
an aerial,
aerial?
and a backflip,
No.
and a front flip, and a
I'll do a
cartwheel,
front flip.
and somersault.
Okay, I'll do a
Anything
front
else? Can you do anything else? Hey, Kyan. That was awful. I did overly expressive listener, and for me that was really easy because I'm kind of overly expressive, and I'm kind of like the one that would be that in the conversation, so it wasn't as hard for me, but it was kind of hard for I could tell it was kind of hard for the person I was talking to because she was kind of annoyed, I guess, by how overly expressive I was.
Mine?
Wow, what are their names?
Paisley, Harley, Quincy. Bandit, Sadie, Willow, Cash, Shira, and Bob.
Wow. Do you have like a favorite one?
No.
Are you sure?
Yeah, that's I have a favorite one.
What kind are they? Are they all?
So I have 3 Chihuahuas,
Oh wow.
3 healers, a horse, and a burro.
Do you have like a favorite animal, like a favorite type of animal?
So I don't know, dogs and horses are kind of a toss up there about my favorite.
Cool. Do you plan on getting any more?
I hope not. I have too many.
I also did the reader, writer, listener, and this just means that you're multitasking while they're talking, so you're doing something else. And in the video, I was painting my nails while she was talking, and I just had my head down the whole time and just didn't really act interested while she was talking, and I could tell she was getting a little bit frustrated with me.
Can I ask you a question? Yeah, go ahead. Can you tell me about your favorite family vacation? Yeah, so one time we were going to California and we were going to Disneyland, and it was like we stayed at a hotel. Yeah, that's about it, I guess. Yep. What was your favorite part? Oh, so I liked we also went to Legoland, and I liked that. That was really fun to be with my whole family. Yeah. Also, are you interested in what I'm saying? What were you saying? I did the eye avoider listener, and this one was kind of hard for me because I'm really used to looking into people's eyes as they talk, but I just was looking around the room and they could tell that I wasn't really paying attention.
So Kenz, what are some of the things you've been involved in high school?
My freshman year I played volleyball.
Really? Volleyball's so awesome. I played it for 4 years.
Oh, that's cool. I have been a cheerleader for the last 2 years.
Really? Cheering is so awesome. I wish that I would have cheered.
That's cool too. I did FCCLA.
No way. I've been in FCCLA for 4 years.
And I went to state FBLA.
Are you serious? Me too.
Wow, cool. And I went to state debate my freshman and sophomore year.
Oh, I went my freshman year, but then I was too busy my sophomore year, so I did debate.
I think that's it.
What was your favorite thing?
Probably cheerleading or debate.
Oh,
or volleyball.
My favorite was definitely volleyball or FCCLA. I did them for 4 years.
The second type of listening that I demonstrated was waiting listener. So a waiting listener just waits for a pause in the conversation to jump in and share their unwanted opinion. I did this with my little sister, and she was just like, oh, all right. Like, didn't know really how to react because I was giving unwanted feedback to her answering the questions that I asked her.
Okay, wait. So you have how many brothers?
12 older brothers. 3 of them pretended I was invisible. Literally. For 2 years.
That's horrible.
It's what brothers do.
And sisters. Elsa and I were really close when we were little, but then one day she just shut me out, and I never knew why.
I would never shut you out.
Okay, can I just say something crazy?
I love crazy.
All my life has been a series of doors in my face, and then suddenly I bump into you.
I was thinking the same thing, because like, I've been searching my whole life to find my own place. And maybe it's the party talking, or the chocolate fondue.
But with
you, I found my place.
I see your face,
and it's nothing like I've ever known before. Love is an open door. Love is an open door. Love is an open door. With you, love is an open door. crazy? We finish each other's
sandwiches.
That's what I was gonna say.
I've never met someone who thinks so much like me. Jinx, jinx again.
Our mental synchronization can have but one explanation. You
And I
were
just meant to
be.
say goodbye.
Say goodbye to the pain of the past. We don't have to feel it anymore. Love is an open door. Love is an open door. Life can be so much more with you. Love is an open door. Can I say something crazy? Will you marry me?
Can I say something even crazier? Yes.
When we thought about the thought completer, we immediately thought of the Disney Frozen movie, and so that's why we showed this video.
We listen to so many different things in our everyday lives. One thing that I need to be a good listener for is I work at a fast food place, and so I have to be active listening to the customers so I can get them what they want and give them good customer service.
A way that I use listening in my everyday life is when I'm at my job at our local care center. We're taught as a nurse assistant that you need to use active listening, which means that you're giving the patient positive body language, which means you're not like slouching or covering your arms like this. You're like leaning into them and waiting for their answers to your questions or to listen to whatever they're saying and give positive feedback that way.
I'm kind of the same as Brittany. I work at Subway here in Panguitch, and you have to make sure you're paying attention and listening to what the customers want so that you don't mess up their orders.
Mine is kind of like theirs, so I'm going to kind of talk about student council. So as a student council member at our high school, you have to know how to listen to everyone in the high school and get their ideas of what to do and how to do it.
We are losing our listening. We spend roughly 60% of our communication time listening, but we're not very good at it. We retain just 25% of what we hear. Now, not you, not this talk, but that is generally true. Let's define listening as making meaning from sound. It's a mental process, and it's a process of extraction. We use some pretty cool techniques to do this. One of them is pattern recognition. So in a cocktail party like this, if I say, David, Sarah, pay attention, some of you just sat up. We recognize patterns to distinguish noise from signal, and especially our name. Differencing is another technique we use. If I left this pink noise on for more than a couple of minutes, you would literally cease to hear it. We listen to differences, we discount sounds that remain the same. And then there is a whole range of filters. These filters take us from all sound down to what we pay attention to. Most people are entirely unconscious of these filters, but they actually create our reality in a way because they tell us what we're paying attention to right now. I'll give you one example of that. Intention is very important in sound, in listening. When I married my wife, I promised her that I would listen to her every day as if for the first time. Now that's something I fall short of on a daily basis. But it's a great intention to have in a relationship. But that's not all. Sound places us in space and in time. If you close your eyes right now in this room, you're aware of the size of the room from the reverberation and the bouncing of the sound off the surfaces. And you're aware of how many people are around you because of the micro noises you're receiving. And sound places us in time as well, because sound always has time embedded in it. In fact, I would suggest that our listening is the main way that we experience the flow of time from past to future. So, sonority is time and meaning, a great quote. I said at the beginning, we're losing our listening. Why did I say that? Well, there are a lot of reasons for this. First of all, we invented ways of recording. First, writing, then audio recording, and now video recording as well, the premium on accurate and careful listening has simply disappeared. Secondly, the world is now so noisy, with this cacophony going on visually and auditorily, it's just hard to listen. It's tiring to listen. Many people take refuge in headphones, but they turn big public spaces like this, shared soundscapes, into millions of tiny little personal sound bubbles. In this scenario, nobody's listening to anybody. We're becoming impatient. We don't want oratory anymore, we want sound bites. And the art of conversation is being replaced, dangerously, I think, by personal broadcasting. I don't know how much listening there is in this conversation, which is sadly very common, especially in the UK. We're becoming desensitized. Our media have to scream at us with these kind of headlines in order to get our attention. And that means it's harder for us to pay attention to the quiet, the subtle, the understated. This is a serious problem that we're losing our listening. This is not trivial, because listening is our access to understanding. Conscious listening always creates understanding, and only without conscious listening can these things happen. A world where we don't listen to each other at all is a very scary place indeed. So I'd like to share with you 5 simple exercises, tools you can take away with you to improve your own conscious listening. Would you like that? Yes. Good. The first one is silence. Just 3 minutes a day of silence is a wonderful exercise to reset your ears and to recalibrate so that you can hear the quiet again. If you can't get absolute silence, go for quiet. That's absolutely fine. Second, I call this the mixer. So even if you're in a noisy environment like this, and we all spend a lot of time in places like this, listen in the coffee bar to how many channels of sound can I hear? How many individual channels in that mix am I listening to? You can do it in a beautiful place as well, like a lake. How many birds am I hearing? Where are they? Where are those ripples? It's a great exercise for improving the quality of your listening. Third, this exercise I call savoring, and this is a beautiful exercise. It's about enjoying mundane sounds. This, for example, is my tumble dryer. It's a waltz. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. I love it. Or just try this one on for size. Wow! So mundane sounds can be really interesting if you pay attention. I call that the hidden choir. It's around us all the time. The next exercise is probably the most important of all of these. If you just take one thing away, this is listening positions. The idea that you can move your listening position to what's appropriate to what you're listening to. This is playing with those filters. You remember I gave you those filters at the beginning? It's starting to play with them as levers, to get conscious about them and to move to different places. These are just some of the listening positions or scales of listening positions that you can use. There are many. Have fun with that. It's very exciting. And finally, an acronym. You can use this in listening, in communication. If you're in any one of those roles, and I think that probably is everybody who's listening to this talk. The acronym is RASA, which is the Sanskrit word for juice or essence. And rasa stands for receive, which means pay attention to the person, appreciate, making little noises like, oh, okay. Summarize, the word so is very important in communication, and ask questions afterwards. Now, sound is my passion, it's my life. I wrote a whole book about it, so I live to listen. That's too much to ask for most people. But I believe that every human being needs to listen consciously in order to live fully. Connected in space and in time to the physical world around us, connected in understanding to each other, not to mention spiritually connected, because every spiritual path I know of has listening and contemplation at its heart. That's why we need to teach listening in our schools as a skill. Why is it not taught? It's crazy. And if we can teach listening in our schools, we can take our listening off that slippery slope to that dangerous, scary world that I talked about and move it to a place where everybody is consciously listening all the time, or at least capable of doing it. Now, I don't know how to do that, but this is TED. And I think the TED community is capable of anything. So I invite you to connect with me, connect with each other, take this mission out, and let's get listening taught in schools and transform the world in one generation to a conscious listening world, a world of connection, a world of understanding, and a world of peace. Thank you for listening to me today.
Everyone, to find out what kind of listener you are and try to be a better listener. Doing this project has really made us realize what kind of listeners we are and what areas we need to do better. So it was really beneficial for us.
Thanks for
watching.
Thank you.